Lombardi Sweep. Week 2, we got a short week. We got the game tomorrow night. We're recording this Wednesday night. So we know pretty much all of the injury news. We know pretty much everything. And the Packers are at home Thursday Night Football against the Washington Commanders. We said this would be a very interesting week. What's Luke doing?
Week 2. I was trying to figure out all the different ways I could do 2 with my fingers.
I mean, you nailed it. I think you got it covered. Visual joke for the listeners. How many different ways can you do the number 2 with your hands?
Sorry.
Take a look at the stream, and Luke will show you how.
Sorry for ruining the intro.
No, you're good. We said this is going to be a very interesting week 1 because we'll see what this Packers team is. But then we also said week 2, no matter what, we will not overreact to week 1, and week 2 is far more important than week 1 because the Packers are probably not winning the division. So that wild card game against the Commanders is going to be very, very, very important to get that tiebreaker. Now, my question to you guys to start is, I know everyone's overreacting. We'll just get that out of the way. We don't even need to address that, okay?
Okay. I kind of want to go for that.
I'm going to give you the opportunity right now. I'll let you answer first. Is week 2 more important than week 1 now? Because do we think the Packers are just going to win the division?
Kind of.
Okay.
So I'm in a boat where, right, the Packers come out and just kind of spank the Lions. It wasn't really as dominant as everyone's going to make, but it was a great win over a good team. It was a great win over a good team, right? I mean, that's what it boils down to. The front 7 for the defense played like incredibly compared to what we've seen in the past, right? So I know, like, we've talked about it, leading up to that week 1 game, right? That these two teams are going to look very different come week 17. They're going to look very different come the next time that they play. But I mean, that first game is as encouraging, I think, as any first game could have been for this Packers team. It's really nice to be able to not get ran over all game for the Packers. Now, Detroit's offensive line, I don't know what that was.
A mess.
That might have been Detroit's worst offensive line game in the Dan Campbell era. But when you hold, a Montgomery and a Gibbs backfield to 45 yards rushing or whatever it is, I think there has to be some praise, right? So it kind of feels like that point of the defense of the front 7 kind of feels like the ceiling, maybe a little bit more of how good they're going to be all year. I don't want to say that's going to be all downhill from there because I do think there's a lot of talent on this front 7. But seeing that is very encouraging. Now, is week 2 more important than week 1? Probably, because I'm scared of the Vikings. But
Same.
I think, yes, week 2 is definitely more important, right? You have to beat the playoff teams in front of you. Whatever playoff team is in front of you, that week is the most important week of the season, right? So Washington is going to be fighting for that playoff spot. At this point, if we don't win the division, it looks like it might be a 5 seed, it might be a 6 seed, right? Now, can the Packers win the division? I'm not going to say no, because if we're just basing everything off of 1 week, Packers look as good as any team to go out and win the division, right? So short answer is yes, week 2 is more important. Long answer is what I just gave you. Week 1 was fucking awesome.
That's fair. Trevor, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think week 2 is more important too. I mean, I was watching the Bears-Vikings game. I'm like, oh my God, JJ McCarthy fucking sucks. He's a bust. And then the second half of the third quarter and fourth quarter happened. I said, oh shit, we have a fucking problem. So yeah, I mean, I think week 2 is bigger, but I think it's because of the reason or the way the Packers schedule is set up. It's kind of almost like every other week is an easy week, right? So they had the Lions, Commanders, at Browns, at Cowboys, Bengals, Cardinals, then at Steelers, Panthers, then Eagles, then Giants, then Vikings. Like it's very back and forth. So I think week 2 is most important because if you start going into these back and forth weeks, maybe middle of the season, 1-1 or at 500, maybe you drop a game that you're not supposed to, I don't know, the Cardinals or the Browns or, heaven forbid, the Giants or something like that. Now you're kind of getting in dangerous territory with the Broncos and the Ravens later in the year. So I think getting off to a 2-0 record is huge because that gives you a larger margin of error. Obviously, it gives you the tiebreaker. You have the tiebreaker over the Lions. You have the tiebreaker over Washington. But it gives you a margin for error where if you do drop one of those games, yeah, it sucks. But it's no longer the end of the world where now you're maybe, they lose to Washington. They somehow drop to the Browns, right? Now you're 1-2 and you're kind of scrambling. So, and then you have to go to Dallas. So I think week 2 is bigger for that, but it's also big too. You just can't get blown out, right? You got to play Washington competitive at the very least. You have good vibes, good juju. Got to keep that going.
Yeah, I mean, you read the schedule, and even though there's some easier opponents in there, what I will say is the Packers have a very physical schedule. Like you named the Cardinals, the Browns, the Steelers.
Run the football.
I assume you're saying the Cardinals and Browns are the easier matchups, but those guys are gonna fucking fight. They're gonna hit you. It's gonna be a battle in the trenches, and the Packers will look at the injury report in a second. If we're saying they're already beat up and we have a week 5 bye, Cowboys are gonna beat the crap out of you. It's gonna be very physical, even just to get through this next month, and then after that, it's a gauntlet. And staring at the end of the gauntlet, I think it's week 17 is the home game against Derrick Henry and the Ravens. So it's going to be a long schedule. This Packers team is going to be tested. The depth is going to be tested, and we shall see. I think there's no doubt if we want to overreact or even just not overreact. I'm not sure if there's any doubt that the Packers looked like the best overall team in the NFC in week 1.
Yeah, probably.
Like, was there another one? The Eagles, I thought, looked good offensively, even though people aren't giving them credit for that for whatever reason. It was extremely dominant, in my opinion.
Yep.
Defensively, they were a mess.
Yep.
So Packers defense, I think, had a lot of issues that we are not talking about. Maybe I'll bring it up in a second just to keep us grounded. But overall, I'm not sure if we've ever seen somebody like Micah Parsons on defense.
Right.
Like that chase down sack was insane. They were just overall a very, very fast defense. And I will say one of my biggest worries that we talked about last week was no Kenny Clark. I still think that's an issue in the long run, but I thought Wooden played pretty damn well in his replacement as well.
Yeah, Carl Brooks too. Like Devontae Wyatt was fine, but to your point, Wooden definitely was a standout there. To take it one step further for the Packers being, the best NFC team, if you only watch those 2 plays where Jordan Love threw 2 40-yard touchdowns, you would think that this Packer team is the greatest football team of all time.
I was just trying to think. I think this is the best game Jordan Love's played, in my opinion.
Best half for sure.
For sure. He had
the
Jordan Love
in the
moments.
Playoffs, but
maybe that's fair. I think he threw the best passes I've seen him in this game. And yeah, again, he had an underthrown deep ball. That's signature at this point. Let's just call that the Jordan Love ball. But he had some dimes, and then he had some bad mistakes in the second half that were not capitalized on. So not in the box score, baby. But he had some very good throws. And if he can just make a few of those throws per game, the Packers are going to win games,
Right.
Before he wasn't even making those throws.
Right. To your point about, he's had some of these throws, like that touchdown to Jaden Reed where I think it was Wicks kind of ran the pick and they ran the wheel around to Jaden Reed. That was like one of the best. Like that was an Aaron Rodgers level throw to Jaden Reed there.
Yeah, it was a dime. It was the exact throw that you needed for that pass, right?
Yep.
And he did it. But then there was the fadeaway throws that should have been a house call, and then he did it immediately after again. That's what blows me away. Like, you made a mistake. It's like, okay, let's dial it back in. We're getting a little too careless. But then he just did it immediately again, which is like, okay, so what are we learning here? What are we doing? I don't know. But it's going to be a roller coaster. And, a lot of people, say Brett Favre isn't one of the greatest of all time because of the interceptions he threw. I would argue he's the most fun quarterback of all time. And Jordan Love maybe has a little Brett Favre in him. And if he can, he's just not exciting or interesting whatsoever. But if he can at least play a little more Brett Favre-like, maybe he can convert me to be a fan. I don't know.
The issue with not being Brett Favre-like is if Brett Favre would have gotten shoved over by Aiden Hutchinson, which ends up hurting your offensive tackle, Brett Favre would have knocked Aiden Hutchinson out.
True, and Favre isn't throwing interceptions to the flat.
True. Yeah, he's throwing into triple coverage 50 yards downfield.
Yeah, he's trying to throw it through the safety's chest for sure.
Yep.
And boy, sometimes he can do it. And that's what makes him so damn exciting. Yeah, we don't need to say a ton about that game. I will say what we said was very, very true all offseason. There was one good time to play the Detroit Lions, and it was week 1. The Lions looked like a team that was very much trying to figure their shit out. They also had a lot of very good moments that just ended with either the ball not bouncing their way or just shooting themselves in the foot. And while this was kind of a dominant win for the Packers, I don't think it was that dominant. I think the Cowboys offense could do just about anything, to the point that the Packers gave up nearly an 80% completion percentage. And that's to Jared Goff while Jared Goff is under pressure. So pass rush looked good. Pass rush is going to have to get even better because I think our coverage showed is not very good. And that scares me a little bit this week, facing a quarterback who can create a little extra time.
Yeah. What's kind of interesting, and when the game was going on, we were kind of talking about it, but they Jeff Hafley or whoever, I assume it's Jeff Hafley who put it into place. But when they get their 3 pass rushers on the field, right? They had Van Ness, they had Micah Parsons, and they had Rashawn Gary. I saw it twice. Zach, you brought it up with Van Ness, I think it was, or Parsons. I didn't see it with Gary. I don't know if I missed it or not. But they have 2 guys on the edge, and they just put someone head up on the guard and just go in there and just bull rush them. If one of those guys can take out a guard and maybe get a little center help, that leaves Devontae Wyatt one-on-one. It leaves the edges one-on-one. Then if you bring a blitzer in, like that's a weapon to have, especially against a Jared Goff team where the quarterback's not very mobile. So I'm interested to see, if those 3 guys are on the field together, if that changes at all, if that's a spot of interest. I guess I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but this is what I'm looking forward to, is how those three pass rushers are kind of used. If it's the same way, if they stack 2 guys on the edge, or however that works. Because that was really interesting. That was really fun to watch. Just watching an edge bull rush a guard. That was awesome.
It's awesome. The only issue with that, and it was Van Ness who did it, and he drove that guard back. Van Ness, that's his move.
Yeah,
that's his one and only. Like, if he could get skinny and do something different on the interior, the best part about putting an edge on the interior is that he can go around the guard.
Right.
I'm not trying to bring an edge to the interior and bull rush everybody. So if he can just develop a little bit more, and again, young player, finally getting experience, this is when he should develop. And so hopefully he does. If he can develop, that'll make a very scary 3. But if we have 3 edge rushers on the field and only two of them have bull rush moves, in Gary and obviously Van Ness, then we're just kind of getting faster but weaker D tackles on the field.
Right.
So we need to get better. We need to bring in more people. Micah Parsons helps a lot, though. He's
fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have any questions about what happens when you get a D line that is just fast and not big, I mean, this isn't a perfect one-to-one comparison, but look at the Badgers' defensive line last year. Like, they couldn't get any pressure. They were getting bullied around on running plays, and they couldn't win games because of it. Like, you get up against a big, this against the Eagles, it's not going to fucking work. So you got to find something that works, because I mean, against the Ravens, I mean, come on, please, right? So they have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's just week 1, but you can't put everything into speed.
Yeah, but it worked this week because that Lions interior 3 was bad. They were not very good. They are definitely hurting without Ragnow and without their guard as well. So if the Packers have anything super, super positive to take away from week 1, is I don't know if you can coach that out. I think the Lions need help. And that's great. That's great news for the Packers.
Quick side note, we don't have to spend much time on this. I'm just curious because you guys will know better than I do. Is there any chance Wisconsin scores points on Alabama this week?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. The only other couple things, and if you have anything else to talk about the game, but obviously the offensive line experienced some injuries that I think will carry over into Thursday. We'll look at the injury report in a second. But we saw Jordan Morgan come in to play guard. We saw Kennard. Obviously, that seemed like a very timely trade at this point now. He came in to play right tackle after Zach Tom got hurt. And everyone seemed to hold their own pretty darn well. They weren't asked to do anything crazy. Obviously, that one outside run to Kennard's side, that first play he was in there, was getting shown a ton. And yeah, he looked fine. That's certainly not the weakness in his game. So the more the Packers can run the football with these depth pieces in, I think will be good for this offensive line and good for the Packers overall. And then the one thing that we kind of worried about preseason, something to keep note of for this week, obviously playing on a short week, playing tomorrow. Packers had 48 plays, which is low. Yeah. Very, very low. That's good. That's good news for a short week. The bad news is Josh Jacobs played 42 of those 48 snaps. And without Marshawn Lloyd, or even when Marshawn Lloyd comes back, if Marshawn Lloyd comes back, can the Packers form some sort of balance in the backfield? That's going to be very important for their long-term success, because if they have to play 12 straight games with Josh Jacobs playing 75% of the snaps, 80% of the snaps, it makes me a little bit worried. I'm not going to lie. So hopefully the Packers can at least look for another running back if they don't think Josh Jacobs is going to, or if they don't think Marshawn Lloyd can come back and be healthy, because clearly we all like the depth pieces they got at running back. Packers don't like them enough.
Yeah,
that's all. That or they're just mistreating this room. But it seems like they don't like them enough.
It'd been nice to trade for Tank.
Yeah, I'd give up a 5th and a 6th. I think that's what that was. That would have been fine.
The only go ahead, Trevor.
All I was going to say is that kind of annoyed me. You know, I understand it's NFL, right? You go for the jugular. You can't play soft. And I understand it was also only a 24-6 lead, but like their second last possession, really their last possession, you have it at Detroit 27. You talk about Josh Jacobs, you know, how many plays he's playing. Run up the middle for 6, run for 2, run for -1 field goal. Like, I'm not saying we can't throw Josh Jacobs out there at all, but I mean, knowing you have a short week, knowing how important he is to this team, I was just kind of left scratching my head why you don't have, you know, Chris Brooks in there for like, I don't know, even just one carry. Like, everything adds up. So that's something where I was a little annoyed with.
Yeah, and we'll see. Short week, you assume pretty simplified game plan for both teams. It's going to be very much players decide this game, I think. It's not going to be coaches decide this game. So if it's going to be simplified, especially on Green Bay's side, I could see a lot of running the football, especially just trying to keep Jaden Daniels off the field, but a lot of running the football, and maybe they mix in Emmanuel Wilson running the football as well. If the Packers can give him 5 to 7 touches, I think that would be great.
Yep.
I think that would help the offense as well. I don't think it's just keeping Jacobs healthy. I think that would be a good thing.
Yep. I just said I'll go through them quick. I just wrote down a couple notes when I was watching the game.
Cool.
Lions offensive lineman Graham Glasgow, not bad game. Next one, I've never heard of a louder introduction than Micah Parsons getting introduced. I don't know if you guys noticed this. This is kind of a really simple thing. It caught my notice right away. When the offense was in the huddle, they were breaking out and getting the line like immediately quick, and it was like Detroit was not, you know, they were kind of off shifting. That was kind of nice to see. I don't know. It hasn't seemed like they've been doing, you know, that you know, well in the past. So if there's a little bit more energy, I'm all for it doing that. And special teams awesome. Like I told you guys, Daniel Whelan needs to be inducted in the Packers Hall of Fame like yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think injecting energy into the offense is part of that, but another huge part of that was first game for a play caller on defense. So just getting to the line of scrimmage and limiting the amount of conversation, the amount of communication they can have, just helped because the Lions were scrambling the entire game because everyone's learning their role, everyone's figuring out what the hell they're doing, and that helped a ton, obviously, and keeping them in certain packages and stuff like that as well. In terms of defense, in terms of who played, I'm just trying to see if there's anything that really stands out. McKinney played every single snap, which is great news coming off that injury, obviously.
LaFleur said that Micah Parsons played too many snaps.
He played 30, so less than half. They played 67 total. He played 30.
He kind of got
probably too many.
He kind of got stuck in there at garbage time too when Detroit was marching at the end.
Right. Yeah, Detroit had to hurry up. Packers couldn't sub. That makes sense. Him and Enagbare probably will be close to even snaps, I would say, in this game. He played 21 last game to Parsons 30. We did have Bullard start at slot. So the corners and Bullard were Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, and then Bullard in the slot. And then there really wasn't much else at corner. Is there even another corner who took a snap in the game? There is not. So depth isn't there. Starting talent, is that there? You decide. I just said they gave up about an 80% completion rate. So hopefully Micah gets home in this game. Last year, Micah got 4.5 sacks against the Commanders. And can he get 4.5 sacks tomorrow night?
Be awesome.
That could be fantastic. Yeah.
Also, something that people talked about it, but it feels like it should be talked about more. Isaac Tesla's catch is like the greatest catch in NFL history.
He's so good. I don't know why the Lions didn't play him.
Right.
It was very strange. I don't know. Going on to this week, so the Packers again are banged up. They do have some injury concerns. I'll start by saying Washington does not. They might miss their punter, and that's it. So already ruled out for the Packers is Brenton Cox, defensive line, and Bo Melton at corner is ruled out as well. That's not great. And he's great on special teams and stuff. Aaron Banks at left guard. He's the one who we paid coming over from San Francisco. He's most likely out.
Not great.
Zach Tom at right tackle, most likely out.
Not great. And
then other players to not practice on the estimated report today would be... that is it. I think that'll be it. Everybody else is kind of limited, but I assume everybody else plays. So Packers could be down 2 starting offensive linemen, and this is what I will say. Can either of you name one pass rusher on the Commanders?
Dude, remember how good their pass rush used to be?
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Kerrigan's not giving work anymore.
No. Does anybody else? Anybody got anything?
John Allen's not there anymore.
John Allen's not there anymore. Could anyone get a defensive lineman?
For one guy, and I forgot it 2 seconds after I scrolled on Twitter.
Montez Sweat's not there anymore.
Nope, he's in Chicago.
Ryan Rackpole's not there anymore.
He is not long gone. Might be dead. Who knows?
Ryan Rackpole caveman commercials, incredible.
True. So my point is Packers timing to have offensive linemen being out probably okay.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid whatsoever of the Washington defensive front. And the one name you could have said, and nobody knows he's in Washington, and that is suspicious. Von Miller is on the Commanders.
Oh, yeah.
So if there's someone who likes to show up when the lights turn on, it is Von Miller. That's a little concerning. Last week he played 28 of the 68 defensive snaps for them. So not much. And then the other good defensive linemen, really, they have a couple decent ones. I'm not going to lie. On the inside, though, they got Deron Payne. He's on the inside. He's good. Dietrich Wise is there. He's pretty good. Javon Kinlaw is pretty tough on the inside. But again, these aren't pass rushers. So I'm really not afraid of Jordan Love being under duress. I think we could struggle to run the football again, which I think was a weakness of the offensive line in week 1. I don't think we really moved bodies, but we pass protected as good as I've seen in the Jordan Love era, to be completely honest.
One more thing.
I love Luke Butkus as a coach for many reasons. He has this group playing really well. I think he's kicking ass.
One more thing just to bring up about the 2 offensive linemen probably being out in this game. I mean, it sucks that they're out, right? You'd love to have offensive linemen. Put a little bit of spin zone on it, I guess. Now they get, 10 days to recover for Myles Garrett?
Right, and you're going to need it, right?
Yeah.
And then you got Kenny Clark going to Dallas, I think, for that game as well. Maybe it's at home. Can't remember. But Dallas has some playmakers as well. But yeah, so overall defense for Commanders, I'm not sure I could even be bothered to be worried about their defense. They have guys, but
nothing
they're
that scares
old
you.
Or whatever. Yeah. Marshawn Lattimore sucks. They got Luvu is good at linebacker. We'll hear his name a shit ton. Jonathan Jones is there.
That doesn't do anything for me.
They have some athletic safeties, but yeah, we're good. However, if Jordan Love decides to give the ball to one of their defensive backs or like safeties, that's a house call. They have some athletic guys in the secondary there. Now, the Commanders' offensive line, because they're going to run the football a ton as well. This is the name we unfortunately will be hearing is Laramie Tunsil. People forget he is now the left tackle for Washington. That is going to be the issue in this game. Can Micah Parsons, and they got a rookie at right tackle, can they get after Jaden Daniels? Because Packers notoriously have been beaten by mobile quarterbacks, and a big reason is not even just that they scramble for yards, they just extend the play.
Yep.
So the issue now becomes, and the biggest thing is the Packers need to rush, but a controlled rush to keep them in the pocket. Because if Jane Daniels extends the plays whatsoever tomorrow night, we know the Packers secondary isn't good. So that's the issue now.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Yeah, I mean, kind of going hand in hand with that, right? Is the two things that have kind of, I mean, there's more than two things, but really the two things that have crippled the Packers, defense, I guess even since they won the Super Bowl in 2010, right? As you mentioned, the mobile quarterbacks, and then that extending play, and then tight ends being wide open in the middle of the field. So
yeah, we saw that last week.
Yeah, so like, is this going to be a game where, right, Jaden Daniels rolls to the right, doesn't see anything, kind of works his way back, and Zach Ertz is wide open 10 yards downfield the entire game? Maybe. So is that something that Bullard takes care of? Is that something that you got to put Quay Walker in kind of that spy soft zone kind of place? But again, as a linebacker, you're looking at a quarterback while also looking at a tight end. It's a really tough spot. And then and more often than not, we see, right, they end up in no man's land and nothing works, and they kind of get roasted by Chris Collinsworth and all this. But to your point, right, it has to be that controlled rush. I don't necessarily know how much Micah Parsons plays in this game because, I mean, there's no doubt that he was gassed at the end of that game. But that feels like a really good spy kind of player coming off the edge. Now, if he's coming off the right, who's taking care of the left? But if Micah Parsons plays, that feels like a player who can somewhat contain, right, a Jaden Daniels who is going to try to extend plays.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it last year. I think some of his sacks came against Mariota, but 4.5 sacks against the Commanders is great. He needs to do it again. Trevor, what's your thoughts for this game?
The difference this year, right? I mean, I'm not saying Deebo Samuel is some superstar anymore, right? But like, he's still a good player. I think he can still make plays. So this isn't the same Washington Commanders team where, okay, you got McLaurin, Goddard, shut them down. Who the hell else is going to do anything, right? Deebo can do stuff. Chris Moore has made some plays recently too. Obviously, Noah Brown looked pretty good for a couple weeks last year as well. Like, this is just Stephen Corp. I'm not saying they're the best in the NFL, but like, you suddenly can't just shut down one or two options and expect to be perfectly fine. So you have to get to Daniels early, but like you said, a controlled rush. And for whatever reason, the Packers have never been able to contain and or tackle a quarterback when they have him in contain. Like Luke said, since the Super Bowl. Flashes of Kaepernick dancing in my head right now. So like I trust in Jeff Hafley more than any other defense coordinator we've had since then. Maybe Dom Capers in his prime, not so much, but like how do you solve that in like 3-4 days? Again, I'm not saying they lose this game, but that's a pretty big ask on a short week.
Yeah, it could definitely be interesting. Like I said, it's going to have to be super base defense, right? Not just because it's a short week, but also because the Packers they haven't got to play much together. We have a defense that didn't get to practice with Xavier McKinney or Micah Parsons. I would argue they're two best defensive players. So that's a little difficult. I've been trying to look up just stats that could be relevant here. I wanted to see if Cliff Kingsbury ever coached against the Packers with Kyler Murray, and he did not.
Really? Not with that Aaron Rodgers game?
Nope.
The only other thing I wanted to bring up before we dive into some stats here too is, right, Zach, we talked about it, Trevor, we talked about it on the show, right? That the Packers kind of, it's early, but these are kind of must-win games for playoffs right now. I mean, this is a must-win game for Washington too, if we're taking the same idea that they're going for a tiebreaker.
Yep.
Right. So like, you don't, as a Washington fan, you don't want, as a Washington coach, as a Washington fan, whatever, you don't want Jaden Daniels to be like going crazy, right? You don't want him to get hurt in this game. But again, this is a must-win game for Washington. So I think they go balls out. And and use, Jaden Daniels to the best of his ability. They use Austin Eckler, they use Terry McLaurin, they use guys, maybe looks a little bit more like it would in December compared to what it usually is in September. So this is definitely a scary game. I think these are two, somewhat evenly matched teams. I think these are two good teams. These are two, top NFC teams. So this will be a fun one. Because I think both teams kind of have to go. They have to play like they play in September, which kind of sucks. But also as a fan, it's gonna be fun to watch.
I agree. So last year, Jaden Daniels played 3 night games, so primetime games at night. In those games, he did better than his average throwing the football. In those 3 games, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The issue I'm seeing is he averaged over 61 rushing yards per game in those games. So that is going to be something we certainly need to lock down on. He had 1 Thursday game, though, during that span. So I don't know when in the season that came. I don't know how inexperienced he was at that point, but I will say that means on a short week, on a Thursday, he had 7 carries for 18 yards. He did not pass the ball well at all either. 191 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So maybe lack of preparation is a good thing for Jaden Daniels. Again, that could have been week 1. I don't know. Could have been the toughest opponent of all time. I don't know. I'm not sure if it was a Thanksgiving game last year. I can't remember. So we shall see. But if there's one team that I think benefits from a simplified game plan, I really think it benefits the Packers. Like I think it benefits both offenses a decent amount. If Jaden Daniels can do like schoolyard bullshit, I think they could really cover up the Packers. But I don't know, man. I think the Packers can run the football on this team. I think they have good interior defenders. But if the Packers get the outside zone working whatsoever, I think the Commanders' defense is done.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'd agree. It's going to be who can put their dick on the table first, for lack of a better term. Like, is it going to be the Packers' run game, or is that going to be Jaden Daniels being an MVP caliber player? Like, it's whatever it is, because I don't think the Packers are very good at playing from behind. So if Washington gets them first, that's big. And to your point, Luke, like looking at Washington's schedule right now, they have at the Chargers, at Dallas, at Kansas City. Then they have Denver, at Minnesota before ending season with Philly, Dallas, Philly. Like, they need to win now, and I think you could argue it's a bigger win now game for them. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out that tunnel on Thursday night.
For whatever it's worth, his Thursday night game was middle of the year, but it was against the Eagles. Yeah. So very tough opponent. But what I will say is it was a close game, and Commanders let him fucking rip it. He had 32 pass attempts. Mm-hmm. So like, I think we could potentially see a full Commanders offense. A lot of checkdowns to Eckler, a lot of checkdowns to Zach Ertz. Again, that goes with the pass rush of Philadelphia as well. But I mean, that's the way to attack the Packers. That's been the way to attack the Packers, right? Wherever Quay Walker is defending, let's throw to that guy. And that's going to be the linebacker, or it's going to be the tight end. It's going to be the running back. And those two positions always really hurt the Packers, the receiving out of the backfield and tight end. We saw it last week when the Lions started to get going. I mean, we know Jahmyr Gibbs set a new NFL record for most receptions and the fewest yards, but he still caught a bunch of passes. And then Laporta was the one to break loose. Yep. So in this game, we know they're going to throw to Eckler. We know they're going to throw to Zach Ertz. That's the 2 most reliable players, I would argue, on the Washington offense. I think Terry McLaurin is talented. I don't think he's reliable. So Terry McLaurin's the killer. He's the dagger in the Packers' coffin if they give Jaden Daniels time. If they don't give Jaden Daniels time, they need to be stuck to Zach Ertz and Eckler. And the good news with that for this week is they may be the 2 slowest players on the field at that point.
Yeah.
Legitimately. Yeah. Like, even if Quay Walker runs the opposite direction, he may still catch up to Austin Eckler and tackle him before it's a first down.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, to your point, like just watching Washington last year, right? They got hot at the end of the year. They got hot in the playoffs. A lot of those games started, Brian Robinson running the ball, Jaden Daniels kind of taking some quarterback sweeps, hitting those checkdowns, and kind of lulling you to sleep, and then bombing it to Terry McLaurin.
Mhm.
So to your point, take away that short, BS game, and you should be fine on the back half of the defensive secondary, right? As long as you have to keep Terry McLaurin in front of you.
Have to. Yep. Anything else we really want to talk about before giving our predictions? I will say the Packers are favored by 3.5 at home, and it's a 48.5 over under. So they're expecting points, and they're expecting pretty close game.
Yep. To me, this game feels similar to last game, right? It's still on such a short week. It still kind of feels like it's it's regular season, but it still kind of feels like it's somewhat of a preseason game, right? Both of these teams, neither of them really had much, many starters go in the preseason. There's obviously two of the better teams in the NFC. They're really used to playing in the preseason, but these neither of these teams aren't going to be what they are in December. So again, it's similar to the Lions game to me. Like I think that the game plan should be very, very similar. This goes for all the games, but if you can really bottle up that run and you make the quarterback a little bit uncomfortable, that's the way to win this game. I think we kind of see a similar result. I think the line was pretty similar. I think Packers were 2.5 last week, point favorites, 3.5. So again, it's basically a pick'em game. So I mean, I'm taking the Packers in a close one. It's hard for me to argue against Green Bay looking like the best NFC team last week. Does that give them a little bit of swagger? Does that give them a little bit of confidence? I sure hope so. You get another game at home. You didn't really have to travel much. You can kind of, rest, relax while Washington's got to come to you. So I think there are some points in this one. Give me the Packers here, 27-21. So I guess right on that 48 number.
Yeah, I'll flip it pretty much exactly. I'll say 27-20 Washington. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch the whole game for Washington, but I did watch good chunks, and I wasn't super impressed with them. Granted, the Giants have a better defense than I think people give them credit for, so that counts. But I wasn't as impressed I was with the Packers in certain situations. But just the running possibility of Jaden Daniels, like I've seen this too many times before. But I do think the Packers definitely hold their own. Where I think last year, if you put this team in this game week 2, I think we have a different story. So I think it's a toss-up. Whoever scores last wins. Like it's going to come down to last possession. I just think it's going to be Washington.
Yeah, this one's so tough for me. I've been thinking about it all day because I'm trying to bet this game too, and I just don't know where to go.
Josh,
I think
touchdown.
Yeah. I really think Washington could stop the Packers running game if we do the exact same thing as last week. This is another game where it's like, hey, it won't be the worst idea to put Malik Willis in the game. Let's let him run the ball 20 times in this game. I feel like that could be a way to beat them. I just think the Packers were so fast defensively. I'm not convinced this is super high scoring. I'm going to go with the Packers win. I think this game comes down to who can make the most big plays because I think there's not going to be very many. And I think that inexperience on the back end maybe of the Washington secondary is going to be it's going to be an underthrown deep ball, right? Like that's what we do. So it's either going to be a flag or Romeo Doubs is going to sacrifice his head coming back to the ball. I think the Packers make one more big play than the Commanders, and we win 17-14. Like, I think it's going to be a low scoring. I think both teams could struggle to run the football.
I mean, there's your bet. Bet the under.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. But I think both defenses are kind of not as talented as everybody thinks as well. So it comes down to the pass rush on both sides. If Jordan Love is not under pressure, he should be able to beat the secondary. And if Jaden Daniels is not under pressure, he can do anything he wants. If the Packers do not get to Jaden Daniels, Browner asks is a good Terry spot. In my opinion, it's not. Just because I think Packers have the ability to really just send the pass rushers, cheat McKinney or Evan Williams towards McLaurin and just take that away and say, okay, we're going to stop your run. We're going to take away your best pass catcher. You have to beat us with Eckler, Ertz, and whoever, or Deebo Samuel. I forgot about Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
He's like he kills the Packers.
Yeah.
Let's not even
he does.
pretend. How many yards per game do you think he has averaged against the Packers in his career?
When's the last
Total
time he played the Packers?
85 plus.
I'll tell you the last time he's played, and I'll tell you exactly how many he's averaged against the Packers in his career. Give me 1 second, but he could. I'm not even kidding. He could be the X factor in this game. He didn't do a ton last week. He did take a nice end around with Laramie Tunsil leading the way, which is terrifying. Against the Packers, he has played the Packers 3 times, and he has averaged. That can't be right. Is this only regular season? He's carried the ball against the Packers, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's definitely got to be more than 3 times.
No,
I think that's regular season.
Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I don't remember him like beating the Packers. Not that San Francisco didn't, but I don't remember him being a huge factor in those games.
I mean, we've played him in the playoffs 2 years. I know for sure. I think he was a pretty sizable factor when they beat us down with Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship.
So, in the NFC Championship, or no. I mean, in the NFC Championship, he had 2 carries, 43 yards, 2 catches, 46 yards. Year after that, he had 10 carries for 39 yards, 3 catches for 44. Last time he played the Packers, beat us in 2024 in the playoffs. Did he play since then? He played us last year and did nothing, but he did nothing the entire year last year. So I'm sticking with my pick. I'm going to go Packers win 17-14. But yeah, we got to get pressure, because if Jaden Daniels gets time to do whatever he wants, he's going to do whatever he wants. Packers cornerbacks are less than bad. They're possibly the worst room in the NFL. So cannot have that.
The one thing I will say is I think this is a game much like the Lions, where literally anything could happen and I would not be surprised.
Right. I think Jane Daniels is really good. So that's kind of where my worry is. Could he put a team on his back? We'll see. It's such a conundrum, because I think Jane Daniels is really good. I think Cliff Kingsbury's a bozo. I think Zach Ertz is a dog. I think Austin Eckler should die. So there's a lot of things that is really cooking in my brain. They have a lot of conflicting players. Good to know you think Green Bay takes the runaway. Just traded Bill, Krosky Merritt. So if he has a big week, I'm going to feel bad. I mean, last week he had that one big run, and I don't think he has the big run in this game. I think the Packers linebackers are too athletic. I think they'll take that away. But they will work that interior of the Packers. I mean, they'll work the edge too. So we'll see. I can see Chris Rodriguez being active for this game as well. That'll be interesting to see. But I think they're going to spread the carries in Washington. And I think they're even going to get Deebo working the edge, because we'll see, obviously, Rashawn Gary duck his head and crawl inside.
And
we'll see.
I got to be honest. I hated that touchdown run more than any play I've had in a long time. Not only because I'm all out on Bill Merced, his touchdown run, but the cornerback came down and decided, just like a moth to a flame, to run right into the offensive tackle instead of setting an edge or anything. And I think most people in America could have ran around that edge at that point.
A lot of bad run fits last week, even though not a ton of huge running games. A lot of bad defense last week, a lot of bad offense last week. Hopefully this gets cleaned up in this game. I think this is a very important football game. So I think Thursday Night Football's got a winner in terms of an exciting game, in terms of an important game. And then the Packers have a long week to get healthy. I wish it was for more than just the Cleveland Browns, but it is what it is. We'll be back next week. Is there anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here?
Go ahead, Trevor.
I'm just going to say the gold package is for the people in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
Green package needs to get off their fucking high horse talking about gold package selling all their tickets. Because like you said, Luke, there was way too much blue for a week 1 game. Like, that's a game everybody should want to be at. You got Micah Parsons, and you're selling your tickets to Lions fans. Like, if you're going to bitch about the gold package, then go to the games. Either do that or sell to Packers fans or get rid of your tickets. Because other than saying you are a season ticket holder, like, you can't be doing that. You can't be.
LaFleur said it in his press conference, man. It means it's noticeable that there's there's a lot of opposing fans in Lambeau Field.
It's not the Packers of old.
Yeah.
It's not the Packer fans of old either. Home field advantage is no longer, for sure. Other than field elements, I don't think it's really there. So
yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, like again, this is a game where I know I've talked ad nauseum about it now, but like this is a game that I would rather see week 16 Thursday Night Football as opposed to week 2 Thursday Night Football. It is what it is. It's a must-win game. Week 2 is our never must-win. This is a must-win. I think if Packers start 2-0 with 2 tiebreakers already in the playoffs, they're in a really, really good spot the rest of the way. So I think this is as must-win of a game as we're probably going to have all season, right? So yeah, like I think boys are gonna be buzzed up. They were buzzed up last game. Can bring that swagger off. You just held the Detroit Lions, who were the highest team scoring last year, to really 6 points, right? They got a garbage time touchdown at the end. But if they bring that same energy, I think this is gonna be a fun one. I do think I'm gonna say fan interest. Packers always fan interest, but fan morale, I guess, is probably very high after that first week, right? You just killed your division rival. So I think more than the boys, the whole crowd's gonna be pumped up for this one.
I hope so. It's gonna have to be. So if you were watching live as well, just know tomorrow night, an hour before the Packer game, before Thursday Night Football, we are also live with our fantasy football show, answering fantasy football questions leading up to Thursday Night Football. So definitely tune in if you want to just hang out, talk about the Packers, talk about football. That's cool. If you need some fantasy football help, let us know, and we got your back as well. And there's a lot of good stuff over on flurrysports.org to read as well.
I'll be out tomorrow. I'll be at the game, but I'll be in the chat for you guys before. So I'll hang out with everyone in the chat.
If you get that loaded pretzel, or if you get something else, if you need to hop on the stream to let us know, you can do that. Give us a little insight. Or if you were in an elevator with Jerry Jones at one point. I'm trying to think, if Dan Snyder shows up, click on that stream. I'd love to ask a couple questions. I'm not sure if there's anybody else notable over there, but I mean, if there's a Commander's exec, I could cook up a question if you need to click it on. There's still some weird shit happening over there. So, yeah. We shall see. I can see Gruden being at this game.
Magic Johnson, is he an owner? Maybe he's there.
Yeah, yes, he is. Yeah, he's in that group. If Magic's there, there's plenty of things to ask him.
Yeah, right.
I'm very skeptical on a couple things of his past, so never know. But yeah, we will be live an hour before Thursday Night Football, so definitely come, tune in, and we'll see you next week to talk about the Packers either being 2-0 or we're going to burn it down. We'll overreact